everybody. Welcome back. This is episode 2 of Learning the System. As I talked about in the first one, we're going to be taking Fate Core, learning the rules, and then transitioning it into a Star Wars campaign just to see how the rules can deal with established properties. Because, like I said in the first video, the rules are rather interesting in how they approach everything. Um, I thought that would be a good place to start. Now, the reason I'm choosing Star Wars is because it's a very character driven cinematic universe, which seems to be what Fate was built to do. So I think it's going to be a good fit for learning the system, especially so we won't have to worry about the world or the characters or anything because, everybody knows what the Millennium Falcon is. So it's going to be a good place to start. Um, and so this episode, I'm going to talk a little bit just about Fate itself because it works differently from every system I've really played. I mean, the closest I could really come up with was like the old classic World of Darkness, being very kind of drama story based, but even the way it does things and the way Fate does things are completely different. So Fate does have that same storyteller aspect where it focuses more on the world and in your character's place in it, but it's placing where you would normally have number crunch, like with skills and powers and stuff like that, kind of like in this really open-ended like framework. So it is a different mindset from most games. So, like for example, previous Star Wars games. Okay, and I've played West End games. I've played Wizards of the Coast, the first D20, and then I played the revised D20. I think. I'm trying to remember because there was like D20, and then there was Saga Edition, and I can't remember. I thought there was a revised D20, but I played the original D20 anyway. As of this recording, I have not got to try the new Fantasy Flight Star Wars game, so I can't really comment on how it interprets Star Wars. Um, but the other two games, West End games, pretty much you picked a template. Like okay, I'm going to be a smuggler, or I'm going to be a diplomat, or a quixotic Jedi, and all those weird classes they used to have. And you would pick a race, typically, Quarren or a Thorian or um, whatever, or you could even play a droid. But typically, you had to pick that kind of class, and then you got dice to spread up amongst your attributes, and then you picked your skills and spent dice on your skills and everything like that. And then in the D20 Star Wars, it was very true to the D&D mold, since obviously since it was based on 3.5 Dungeons and Dragons. So basically, you picked a race or species, I guess would be more correct for Star Wars. And then once you picked your race, then you got your attributes figured out. You had certain racial or species abilities. Then you picked a class. So then you could be a Guardian Jedi or a senatorial or a bounty hunter or a soldier or a mechanic or a pilot or a smuggler and all that stuff. So it was still race, class, um, skills, abilities, attributes, that sort of thing. So, which is fine because it can work really well. I mean, Dungeons and Dragons has been around 40 plus years. I mean, it's a great system. I still love playing D&D today, so I'm not knocking that. But Fate takes such an abstract view to it compared to that kind of system that's why we're doing this series. So Fate, the way it looks at it is your character is a useful, actually well-trained person that could go out and actually like do things heroically. It's not like a level 1 and then you work your way up kind of thing till you get heroic. In Fate, you're just considered a very capable individual from the get-go. There are no levels in Fate. There are actually no character classes in Fate. There are no attributes in Fate. It works on a very different model. So, for example, the basic dice mechanic is pretty simple. But where it really differs is in what they call aspects. So an aspect is a descriptive term for a place, a ship, an item, a person, a character, an NPC, anything. So, like, for example, we'll use the Millennium Falcon, okay, as our example here today. So, if we were describing the Millennium Falcon, we would have some generic terms for it, like as a YT 1300 transport, that sort of thing, that's just a given. But in Fate, the ship itself wouldn't really have like hull points or an armor class or anything like that. It would have aspects that define its nature and its abilities, and then there is kind of like a damage track, and we'll get to that in a later episode. But this is where Fate really differs from other games. So, like in the D20 Star Wars, the Millennium Falcon would have, probably an armor class rating. It would have damage reduction for incoming fire. It would have a shield rating. It would have basic stats on how much it could carry. Cargo size, how fast it can go, how many crew it needs, all that. It's got all those set in stone kind of things that define it. In Fate, the Millennium Falcon wouldn't have pretty much any of those stats. It would be their ship, it would have its name, and instead of those hardcore stats, it would have what they call aspects. An aspect is a descriptive term. So, for example, in Fate, the Millennium Falcon would have a aspect, say, fastest hunk of junk in the galaxy. So, what that means then basically is when you're playing the game, if that aspect is useful, whoever is flying the ship could use that aspect to get a bonus on a piloting or roll or something to go faster. Or what would be another good one for the Falcon? Oh, I mean, there's so many you can choose. It's kind of hard to narrow them down sometimes. Um, we got fastest hunk of junk in the galaxy. Um, Maybe always holds together. Because she always looks like she's falling apart, but she always works and gets them home at the end of the day. So always holds together might be a good aspect, because then if the Millennium Falcon's taking damage or something's going to disable it, you can say, well, she always holds together, and you can use that aspect to give you a bonus on a repair roll or something like that. Um, Maybe you could even use some different ones here, because I know we used the fastest hunk of junk galaxy for the um, speed, but you could always say stolen Imperial shields. It gives you a bonus on when you have to use the shields, or when you're getting attacked, maybe things like that. So that's how it works. With these aspects, they're really interesting and an integral part of the game. Like, for example, Han Solo as a character might have an aspect of Heart of Gold. Where or pirate with a heart of gold. So even though he acts like a jerk and he acts like he would rather leave you to rot than risk his own butt, at the end of the day, he comes in and helps out. Something like that. Or Han Solo might also have an aspect called price on his head, because he's wanted by Jabba. So at some point, that can either work for you or against you, depending on the context of the game. And that's another interesting part of aspects, is they don't always have to be positive. So, like, for example, if Han's got a price on his head, um, then yeah, of course, at some point, if a bounty hunter's coming for him, it might give him away because he's got a bounty on his head. But on the other hand, he might know how bounty hunters operate. So if he was trying to infiltrate a base with some bounty hunters, that might come in useful as a reverse on the skill, where he can fit in with bounty hunters because he knows what they're looking for or how they operate. So it's a really interesting part of the game. And because of that, with no attributes and no like hardcore stats like that, it leaves it very open to drama and what feels right for the scene, and builds on the characters. So this is kind of like a main part of the game here aspect. So this video might be a little bit longer than normal, but I just wanted to put it out there because that's kind of an interesting thing. And if you stop and think about Star Wars, everything is kind of, you can build those aspects into it. Like even the Death Star. That's no moon; it's a space station. I mean, that could be an aspect that shows that it's just huge and enormous and hard to hide, and as soon as you see it, something bad's going on. You know what I mean? Or Vader could have imposing presence. He just automatically intimidates you just for standing there. He doesn't even have to do anything. Stuff like that. That's really kind of the neat thing with Fate. It also those aspects can work on a room or a situation. So, like for example, if you're in a reactor room, okay, and some scene's going to happen there. Well, you could have in there volatile machinery as an aspect, which means if you're not careful, you can hit that machinery and blow the entire space station up or starship or whatever. But it could also be used, as an aspect that, well, I could destroy everything, or because it's there, we can't use blasters in this room, or if you're fighting in a throne room, you could have an aspect of impossibly deep shaft that somebody could fall into, or you could knock somebody into, or something like that. So these aspects are just really interesting because they set up the room. They give you more of a sense because in D&D, you kind of get that description, and then you just find the chest or you open it or whatever. But if you walk into a room and it's um, got one of these descriptions on it, it becomes a little more atmospheric plus mechanical in the rules. So I just thought it was interesting, and that really seems to me the way Star Wars works. So I'm kind of hoping that the rules and the universe I chose are kind of work together on things here to put it together. Um, but I think that might be a good place to stop here talking about aspects. Those are a pretty big part of the system here, and I hope I've kind of described those pretty well for you. Next episode, we'll probably look at the dice and aspects and how they interact with just the basic set rules. And then once we get that done, then we'll move on. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying the series so far, and we'll catch you next time.